Why does the quiet person in the room always seem to know more than everyone else? Why do you feel slightly exposed around someone who barely speaks? Why does silence sometimes carry more weight than anything that could actually be said? You were not imagining that. You were sensing something real about how power actually moves through a room. Friedrich Nietzsche spent his life studying what people reveal without meaning to, and what the rare few reveal nothing of at all. He understood that silence is never absence. It is a decision dressed as nothing. Most people speak to be accepted. Few are strong enough to be misunderstood. And the people who master that kind of strength are living by rules most of us were never taught. 5 things. Stay until number 5. Because that one explains why the quietest person you have ever met might be the only one in the room who was actually free. Here is the first thing. The quiet person has stopped performing for an audience that was never really watching that closely. Most people fill every silence because silence feels like a verdict on whether they matter. So they talk. They explain. They perform their opinions like evidence of their own worth. The quiet person has simply stopped needing the room's reaction to confirm anything about who they are. Nietzsche would call this the first step out of the herd, the moment someone stops needing the noise of others to know they exist. A person becomes dangerous the moment approval stops being their fuel. And here is what that does to everyone else in the room. While the talkers are busy revealing their fears, their need for approval, their desperate hope to be liked, the quiet one is simply observing the architecture of everyone's insecurity laid bare in real time. Watch a room closely enough, and you will notice the person saying the least is usually the one who understands it best. Power was never loud. It was just rarely recognized as quiet. And once you notice this in one person, you start noticing how rare it actually is. Here is the second thing. And this one explains why some people seem impossible to read. A quiet person has removed your ability to study their weak points. Think about what actually happens every time you react instantly. Your anger, your excitement, your flinch of defensiveness. Each one hands another person a small map of exactly where you can be pressed. The person who has trained themselves not to react immediately is not suppressing emotion. They are simply refusing to let their face become a public document. Nietzsche called the discipline behind this self-overcoming, not the absence of feeling, but the mastery of when feeling gets to speak. Most people assume composure means someone has nothing going on inside. It usually means the opposite. It means they decided long ago that not everyone gets to see what is happening in there. You cannot exploit a door that was never left open. The version of you that reacts to everything belongs to everyone who knows how to provoke it. Now here is the third thing, and this is the one most people never see clearly until it is pointed out to them. Silence is not always a response to someone else. Sometimes it is the sound of a person who has simply stopped outsourcing their sense of self to the room. Think about how much of ordinary conversation is actually a request for permission. Permission to be right, permission to be liked, permission to feel solid in your own skin for the next 5 minutes. The person who has built something steadier inside themselves does not need that permission anymore. So when a moment arrives that would normally demand a defense, an explanation, a justification, nothing comes. Not because they have nothing to say, because they no longer need the exchange to feel like themselves. Nietzsche understood this as a form of self-mastery rarely discussed honestly, the strength not to perform stability, but to actually possess it. This is the quiet that frightens people the most. Not coldness, not distance, but the unmistakable sense that someone's entire sense of worth no longer depends on what happens in this conversation. A person who needs nothing from you cannot be controlled by you. The fourth thing is about a kind of power most people give away without ever noticing the transaction. Every sentence you speak is a small transfer of information from you to whoever is listening. Your plans, your doubts, your next move, the shape of what frightens you. The quiet person understands something Nietzsche stated almost like a law of nature. Real strength includes the ability to remain unknown while perceiving others with total clarity. They ask, they listen, they notice what is said and what is carefully avoided, and they give almost nothing back in exchange. This is not deception. It is simply an understanding that exposure is a kind of debt, and debts can be collected at the worst possible moment. In any negotiation, in any friendship, in any rivalry, the person who reveals less is rarely the one left vulnerable when things turn difficult. Knowledge moves in one direction in most rooms. Quiet people simply noticed which direction that was. The ones who talk the most are usually paying for a conversation they do not realize they are funding. And now the fifth thing. the one underneath everything else. The deepest form of quiet has nothing to do with strategy at all. It is what remains once a person stops needing to be understood by people who were never going to understand them anyway. Most explanation is an appeal, a request for the room to confirm that you are good, that you are right, that your version of events deserves agreement. Nietzsche spent much of his work circling a single, demanding idea: that the highest form of freedom is creating your own values and no longer outsourcing your sense of self to a vote taken by other people. The person who has truly arrived at this kind of quiet is not hiding anything. They have simply stopped performing a trial they no longer believe needs a verdict. Silence becomes powerful the moment it stops asking for permission. This is the line worth remembering. The moment you stop needing to be understood is the moment you become impossible to control through misunderstanding. 4 things to carry with you starting today. First, let 3 extra seconds pass before you respond to anything that stings. That gap is not hesitation. It is where your composure either survives or dies. Second, notice how often you explain yourself to people who never asked and never needed to know. Every explanation given freely is a piece of leverage handed away for nothing. Third, when someone near you goes quiet, resist the urge to immediately read it as confusion or distance. Ask instead what decision that silence might already represent. Fourth, examine how much of your peace depends on being understood by people whose understanding was never going to change your life either way. Here is the truth this video was always circling. The loudest person in a room is rarely the most dangerous one in it. The quiet one has usually already finished thinking, already reached a conclusion, already decided what deserves their energy and what does not. A weak mind experiences silence as a wound that must be filled immediately. A mind that has done the work experiences silence as something closer to shelter, a place where no one else gets to write the story of who you are. You will know you have changed the day someone tries to provoke you and nothing happens. Not because you suppressed something, because there was nothing left for them to reach. If this video put language to something you have felt for years but never been able to explain, type the word silent below. I read every comment, and I want to know how many people just recognize themselves in this. If there is someone in your life who needs to understand what real composure actually costs and protects, send them this video today. Subscribe if you want to keep decoding the parts of human nature most people walk past without ever noticing. Because the people who finally understand silence are never the ones left exposed by it again.